I hope you all had a peaceful afternoon and a restful evening. First head football coach of Day 4 at SEC Media Days is Eli Drinkwitz, who is entering his second year at the University of Missouri. He'll be one of two head coaches entering their second year today. Let me say that again. One of two head coaches today who'll be entering their second year, but their first year appearing at SEC Media Days, given what happened last year. Led his team to a CFP top 25 ranking last season for the first time since 2018, and only the third time in the program's history. 2 nights ago, he was on the mound in St. Louis, throwing out the first pitch for the St. Louis Cardinals. If you happen to watch the SEC Network, our promo spots for football through the season have music from country music star Luke Combs, who Eli knows and is a huge fan of. He also has a deep affection for Air Jordan shoes, and you should see the footgear he has on today. And looking back in his life, he graduated magna cum laude, which is tied with my graduation honors, at a different university, and was student body president at Arkansas Tech, who are the Wonder Boys. That's what I thought. University of Missouri head football coach Eli Drinkwitz.
Well, appreciate everybody being here today. You get to find out which the sports writers are the toughest ones who can last to Day 4. Obviously, there's a few empty seats here. Some guys just aren't cut out for life on the road and didn't have their pandemic legs underneath them. Would be remiss if I didn't start out by giving a shout out to Paul Feinbaum for his contract extension. Nobody tries to steal a show quite like Paul and start out SEC Media Days by leaking that news. So congrats to Paul on that. Hard-hitting questions coming out of yesterday. I think one of them was whether or not the horns down is going to be 15-yard penalty in the SEC in the future. So I asked Commissioner Sankey in the hallway, and he gave me a strong rebuttal by saying no comment. So we'll see where that goes. But excited about the opportunity to be here today and share with you about the energy of the Mizzou football program and what we're trying to build in the SEC moving forward. I really felt like last year we exceeded the expectations of many of the people in the room, but also many of the people within the state about what we could accomplish in such a challenging season. Last year we were able to win 5 conference games. We were able to beat the defending national champions. We were able to beat Kentucky for the first time in 5 years, able to win both of our trophy games and avenge a loss versus Vanderbilt. We had 5 players drafted. And so there was a lot of positive momentum to go into the offseason. We did a nice job in recruiting and continued to develop this program, but we didn't meet the standard of what we want to be moving forward. And so we are continually chasing that close the gap mentality. How do we close the gap amongst the upper echelon teams of the SEC? And it's going to be a process. It's not something that just happens overnight. I got to remind our fan base that Coach Smart and Coach Mullen have years of experience at their school, and we're trying to close that gap in a hurry, but we're not going to do it overnight. But we need our fan base to continue to re-engage with us and be excited about our program. We're very fired up about the opportunity that lies ahead. We return 8 starters on defense. We return 8 starters on the offensive side of the ball and 4 specialists. We got an opportunity to have a really strong line of scrimmage, which is one thing that we learned last year was needed in order to be successful in this league, and really look forward to returning an all-SEC player at the defensive end position with Trajan Jeffcoat. We were able to bring some guys back with that COVID year, and so the defensive line should be a strength for us on the defensive side of the ball. We added a new defensive coordinator in Steve Wilkes, a guy with tremendous NFL pedigree and experience and also coaching in college football, a coach who's just a tremendous leader of men and a motivator of players, and excited about the scheme that he's going to bring and the energy that he brings to the football field every day. Obviously, we lost some players to the NFL and had some weaknesses there, so we went out and utilized the transfer portal to our advantage. We were able to add 2 quality transfer defensive backs in Caleb Evans and Allie Green. We lost a linebacker to the second round to the Chiefs, and so we went out and added Blaze Aldridge from Rice, who was an all-conference performer there. So we really felt like that we put the pieces in place on the defensive side of the ball. That was obviously a weakness for us, especially towards the end of the season, and so we're excited about the opportunity for us to improve. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding, and we got to get those guys going in fall camp. On the offensive side of the ball, Coach or Commissioner Sankey said this was my second season, but first year at SEC Media Days. We're trying to get Connor Bazelak a back-to-back SEC Freshman of the Year. I don't know if that's possible, but with the COVID exception, maybe it is. SEC Co-Freshman of the Year, so we have a proven commodity at the quarterback position, and so we're excited about the growth that he can show and earn. We've added some playmakers around him. Obviously, Mookie Cooper is a guy that we're excited about to go along with Kiki Chisholm and Toski Dove. And then Tyler Beatty at tailback, when he was featured for us last year in our games against LSU, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, he really did some nice things for us. He's got some explosive ability and really can do a lot of different things out of the backfield. So a lot of things to be energized about for a fan base and for a program. And so with that, we look forward to the 2021 football season and look forward to the challenges that lie ahead. And with that, I believe the next thing I'm supposed to do is open it up for questions.
You got it, Coach. Thank you very much. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Victoria, Lawrence, and Fuller have microphones, and we'll get one to you. We'll start down here in the front left with Bob.
Hey, Eli, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. Is that nice to be in the same room with you finally? You got 2 kids on both sides of the ball from Fayetteville with Byers and Bannister. Wondering what you're expecting from them. And you brought Akil here today. What went into that to say that's a pretty big honor?
Yeah, those 2 young men do a lot of different things for us in our program. I mean, Barrett Bannister is a guy who seems to always play his best game against the Arkansas Razorbacks. I guess it just means more to him being from the state and playing against those guys. And he's a guy that does all the little things right, is an extra gritty player, works extremely hard at his craft to perform above his capabilities on a day-to-day basis. He's the type of player that Mizzou football has always been about. He's the type of player that our fan base can really embrace because he's a blue-collar mentality, works for everything that he's been given in life. Akil Byers is a young man that is a leader on the defensive side of the ball with a lot of game reps, a lot of experience. Obviously, he's from Fayetteville, has the potential, has really invested himself into this season, into our football team. And it's a true honor for him to be here today. I was able to bring both an offensive and defensive lineman, again, just to emphasize both to our team and to really our fan base that it's got to start at the lines of scrimmage for us to be successful.
Coach, we'll go over here on our left side. John.
John Adams, KnoxNews.com. Since your popularity is surging right now, I was just wondering, when you sign an autograph, do you sign Eli or Eliah?
I sign E and then a lot of squiggly lines, and if anybody can make it out, that's up to them. But I go with Eliah and then go from there. I don't know about the popularity of surging type deal, but Twitter's not real, just so we're on the same page.
Coach, we'll go in the center section along the right aisle, about halfway back.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. You brought up wondering about horns down and if that was going to be a penalty if Texas were to come to the SEC. Besides that, what was your initial reaction to hearing the report about Texas and Oklahoma having that interest?
I've been trying to tell people everybody wants to play in the SEC, man. And if you can attract a couple of really good schools to come play, that's great. I immediately called my athletic director and Jim and told him that if the commissioner changes and adds 2 games to our schedule, I think we all understand that Mark Womack's going to put both Texas and OU on Mizzou's schedule moving forward. So we're ready for any challenge that is thrown at us. No, in all seriousness, control what you can control. That's all speculative. This is talking season, as a coach one once phrased it, in speculative season, and it gives y'all a lot of things to do. But what we're worried about is converting third downs and scoring touchdowns. And they ain't on our schedule this year. And if the commissioner decides or our presidents decide that's what it'll be in the future, then hopefully Missouri employs me long enough to see that.
Coach, we'll stay in the same section a couple rows ahead.
Hey, Eli, Jordan Hill with Opelika Auburn News. I want to ask, what comes to mind when you think about the time you spent coaching with Brian Harsin, and what's sort of your expectations as far as what his approach is going to be at Auburn?
I owe a tremendous amount of respect and debt to Coach Harsin and the opportunities that he gave me, and really a lot of the things that we do as a program are a direct result of the things that I learned from him and the way he implemented them at Arkansas State and Boise State. He's got a tremendous plan. The thing about Coach Harsin is he always has a plan for everything he does, and you're going to see that unfold at Auburn. I'm not up here to put undue expectations on anybody else. I think the Auburn fan base does that well enough by themselves. And so I got a job to do right here, and that's to coach and represent the University of Missouri. And all the best to Brian and his family.
Coach, we'll go all the way to the back of the center section.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN, ESPN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. Pretty well documented last year, but you mentioned your friendship with Gus Malzahn, and was wondering if he had any advice for you about today, and how surprising was it to see what happened to Gus last year at Auburn?
I don't think anything in this business catches you by surprise much anymore, so I don't necessarily know that I was caught by surprise. Disappointed for a mentor and a friend. His advice to me was to make sure I was really respectful to Bob, and he says hi. And then after that, don't pontificate. And then the last thing he said was, don't pick a fight with Kirk Herbstreit. So go from there.
Coach, we'll go in the center section again, over here right in front of us.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today? Gerard Hamilton, the Tuscaloosa News. Since joining the SEC, it doesn't seem like Mizzou really has a rivalry in the conference. If Oklahoma joins the SEC, would you be excited to kind of rekindle that rivalry?
I kind of like the rivalry we got with Arkansas. I mean, I don't remember the last time they beat us, so I kind of like that one. And the Battle Line rivalry, I mean, it's pretty good for us. So, Crud, I think we'll just keep that one right now. That's a good one. Respect Sam and everything he's doing with that program. He's obviously doing a tremendous job. I'm from the state, and so that makes it a little bit more special and a little added incentive. So I'm not going to speculate about anything. Just because y'all don't think it's a rivalry doesn't mean it ain't a rivalry. It means a whole heck of a lot to my household, and I know it means a whole heck of a lot to Barrett Bannister's household, and I know we like having that trophy at the end of the game. So I think we'll keep the one that the commissioner set for us.
Okay, we'll go in the center section again alongside the right aisle.
Eliah, Corey Diaz with the Greenville News in South Carolina. When you reflect back on year one, what would you say are the most critical steps that you took as a first-year head coach? What were some of those challenges and most important lessons that you learned? And then, two, for the 4 new first-year head coaches in this league, what would you tell them is awaiting them in this league?
I mean, I think the critical steps we took forward, obviously, in order to have a chance to win the SEC